Hi everyone. In this video I'll be looking at four-part modal writing in the Benedictus from the Quam Dicunt Dominus Mass by Palestrina. During the Renaissance, textually there was essentially two types of four-part writing. The first type consists of works constructed using a predominantly contrapuntal texture, and the second type consists of works using essentially a homorhythmic chordal texture. The latter texture, known as stile familiare or familiar style, I will look at in another video. The control of dissonance and other principles and rules for writing four-part modal counterpoint are essentially the same as writing for two and three parts. To achieve a four-part texture, however, one note of the triad must be doubled. This may be the triad's root note, third or fifth, and it is often the context which will determine which of these degrees will be used. However, it is probably true to say that the third is doubled more regularly in minor chords than in major. Except for a B-flat major triad with doubled root note, accidentals are typically not doubled. This is especially true for raised leading notes. In imitative works such as this one, four-part texture often accounts for only a small portion of the work's overall length. Inclusion of all four parts is always at the composer's discretion. However, it is regularly used as the fourth voice enters at the beginning of the work and leading up to cadences. The Benedictus text uses two sentences, which Palestrina here divides between two sections of the work. Bars 1 to 15 uses the first sentence, and bars 16 to 34 uses the second. The only change occurs here through these bars of the second section, where he uses both sentences together. Each sentence is repeated throughout its section, and typically the complete sentence is repeated, although here, here, and here only in nomine is used. Thematically also, Palestrina uses two main themes. The opening theme, used predominantly through the work's first section, and this ascending theme, which is perhaps better termed a figure, used in the second section. Palestrina's opening theme consists of two sections which are used consecutively in the first alto, tenor and bass entries, but are reversed for the second alto's entry. Perhaps here, because three voices have already entered, Palestrina reverses the theme's section order so that he can combine its B section contour and stretto through these bars, while in these bars its A section's contour is more effective as an approach to the work's main internal cadence in bar 15. Or perhaps, and this is a more likely reason, because the theme beginning on D or G doesn't combine well with this section of the bass's theme, producing forbidden or unusable vertical note combinations through these bars, the only solution is to reverse the theme's section order, as Palestrina has done here, or to begin the second alto's theme entry later. The majority of the work's cadences resemble the perfect cadence of later tonal music and conclude on either G or C major chords. The only exception to the 5-1 perfect cadence occurs here, where a first inversion F-sharp diminished triad cadences on this G chord. As expected, all cadences include a suspension, with 4-3 and 7-6 suspensions being used, and here over the initial G of the bass entry, 4-3 and 6-5 motion in the upper parts create a momentary dissonant 6-4 combination, which here resolves over the G major harmony. The 6-5 motion doubles the 4-3 suspension in thirds and is not dissonant with the bass's G note. In later tonal music, this combination, sometimes known as an accented 6-4, would be frequently used. Another use of a 6-4 combination is here, where the so-called consonant fourth or consonant 6-4 is used, leading to the final cadence. All internal cadences also include dovetailing of parts to ensure an unbroken texture. Here, for example, while the first alto and tenor cadence on C, The second alto's phrase, begun 2 bars earlier, continues the texture. The bass also enters with the B section of the theme before the first alto and tenor's cadential notes conclude. After rests, the first alto and tenor parts then resume with the theme's B section used in stretto. As noted earlier, in a 4-part texture, any degree of a triad may be doubled. Leading to this cadence, for example, this G major chord's root note is doubled. Here, this A minor chord's third is doubled, producing an unusual instance of an upper part suspension's resolution being sounded also in the upper part. Here, this F major chord's fifth is doubled. Here, this G major chord's root note, and here, this C major chord's root note. As in many instances, which degree to double will often be decided by a part's melodic contour and the contour of the parts which surround it. Here, for example, the vertical combination of the theme's A and B sections in these bars immediately influences the potential shape of the second alto and bass's melodic contour. The interaction of the theme sections means the melodic contour of the remaining voices must be formed around the given shapes of these parts. In this example, if the notes of the first alto and tenor are exchanged, little difference in the overall voice leading or texture would result. In other contexts, however, the resulting part interaction may be more restrictive. Here, for example, where the work's second section ascending figure is used in stretto, the combination of the 3 figures together suggests only certain harmonic possibilities for the vertical note combinations. This initial B note, for example, may be harmonized with a G major or E minor triad. This C and G combination suggests C major. This B and D suggests G major or possibly B diminished, and this C suggests either C major or A minor. Palestrina chooses this harmonization, which produces an unusual instance of a chord without its third. Here, the E minor triad's root note could have been sustained or repeated to supply C major's third. However, Palestrina decided to retain the descent to C major's root note, producing the following perfect fifth leap of reference to this figure shared between the tenor and bass parts. Here also, use of the theme's A section in an upper part essentially produces a sustained D note, which must be accommodated in the resulting harmony of these bars. Here, Palestrina uses G major and D minor to harmonize the initial D notes, with the E and final D note being harmonized with E minor, C major, and D major chords. In these bars, the first alto is essentially written in eighth notes, while the remaining parts essentially move between chord notes written as half notes, quarter notes, and here in eighth notes. Unlike much of the work, here the second alto, tenor, and bass parts don't cross. Only the first alto moves from the initial G of the bass to ascend to the highest part of the texture. In other sections of the work, the voices cross fairly regularly, such as here where the tenor crosses below the bass, here where the first alto crosses below the tenor, and here where the second alto also crosses below the tenor. In all of these instances, however, the voices cross only briefly before returning to their own ranges. Through all 4-part passages of the work, especially as in these bars, where individual harmonies are prolonged across several beats, the voice leading of each part tends to be specific. Here, for example, the first alto essentially moves from D minor's third to its fifth. Here, the second alto prolongs D minor's root note. Here, the tenor prolongs its fifth, and here the bass moves from D minor's root note to the third, following the contour of the first alto's part in thirds. Here also, where D minor moves to D major for the work's final cadence, the first alto moves from the third of D minor to the root note of both D chords before cadencing on the fifth of G major. Here, the second alto essentially moves from D minor's root note to the third of D major and cadences on the root note of G major. Here, the tenor essentially prolongs both D chords' fifth and first degrees before cadencing on G major's third, and here the bass prolongs both D chords' root notes to cadence on G. I hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. See you next time.